Hey good people, welcome back to Beauty and the Frizz. My name is Cara. Whether you're new or returning, thank you so much for stopping by and hanging out with me today for another one. So with summertime coming up, I just thought it would be fun to just talk about some palettes I want to use this summer. I don't know if they all necessarily give summer vibes. I think some of them definitely do, and some of them you might be kind of like, but what's a summer vibe anyway? I mean, I know we think about tropical and colorful, but I'm also thinking about palettes that I just kind of want to use. So if you want to go ahead and talk about some eyeshadow palettes with me, keep watching this video and let me know what you think. And if makeup is your therapy and your love, if it makes you happy and you want to connect with another enthusiast that feels the same way, definitely consider joining the community because I would love to have you back. All right, let's get started. So I am counting down the days to the last day of school. I don't know when this video is going up, but I just was going through my eyeshadow collection because I am just looking at palettes and thinking about how I feel about them. Are there any that I can let go? And I just was thinking, why don't I talk about some palettes I want to use? I know that some other content creators have already started doing these videos, and I think I did this video last summer, and I know I did like spring palettes, fall palettes, all that. So it's time for summer. Well, let's go ahead and get into it. I think I have 14 palettes because I had 13 and I didn't want to have an odd number. So that's where I'm at. So I'm going to turn the exposure down because I'm going to be showing a lot of palettes in this video. So just going to turn it down one, and hopefully, that's a bit dark. Let's do it there, and hopefully we'll be able to see these palettes. Now what I have on my eyes now is not on this list, but it is a new palette. It is the Odin's Eye Soul Moon 2 palette, and I do have a video up of 3 looks with this collection. It's very, very pretty. I did pick an Odin's Eye palette for this list, just not this one, although I think this could be a nice summery look. All right, now some of these palettes may be out of stock, may be discontinued, but I tried to pick a big mix from my collection. So we've got indie, luxury, mainstream. We've got it all here. Now the first palette I wanted to start with is a palette that I am considering letting go from my collection. And this is the Natasha Volume 3 palette. Yes. Now, this is my second time purchasing this palette. The first time I used it, and then I had the crazy idea of trying to depot this palette, and it was a total disaster. I don't know what I was thinking. And then I bought this palette from BoxyCharm for 24 bucks. I don't think I want to let go of this. I've not used it. Now here's the palette up close. You've got a really nice range of shades here, but I think they give summer vibes. You know, you've got a lot of orange mattes, you've got some pinks, some blues, but then you also have some like browns and mauves where you can create an everyday look. I've not been going for these big palettes lately, and that's the only reason why I'm concerned. Well, you also have some nice greens and a yellow. So I think this is a great summery palette, and I think you can make a nice range of looks. The question is, will I use it? You even have a matte red. There's a lot you can do with this palette, but again, the question is, am I going to use it? So I'm not going to swatch any shades from this because this is pristine, and I'm just not sure what I'm going to do with this palette, but I would like to use it. I just don't want to be messy with it. You know what I mean? Especially if there's someone who wants this palette, you know? Now palette number 2 is a palette that was temporarily lost, and I just found it. And this is the Nomad Paradise Islands palette. And I think this is a perfect summer palette. I think that if you are interested in pastels, but not quite, kind of like me, I realize I don't hate pastels, but I don't know if I exactly love them, but I do love this. And I think this is one of my favorite Nomad palettes that I have. I love all of the shades, and it doesn't go super deep, but I think it is great for summer. I think that you can do like a lot of one and done looks or two and done where you just kind of take a matte and then maybe a corresponding shimmer, just kind of have it blown out, just something really easy. I can see you doing a lot of that, because if you just go like row by row, there's kind of a theme there. And I'm just hoping that y'all can see these shades, because let me go down one more. I think that might be a little bit better. So I know I'm a bit dark, but this isn't about me, this is about the palettes. So yeah, I think this is a great summer palette. I like the looks that I created with this one, and I did want to come back and do a look inspo video, but I couldn't find it. So I just found it the other day. I am super curious about the destination for the next Nomad palette. And it looks like it's also going to have a nice summery vibe. So that's number 2 on my list for summer palette. Number 3 is a favorite in my collection. It is my very first Natasha Denona palette, and this is the bronze palette. This is the one I probably would go for the most, because it gives that glowy bronze goddess type look. I just love it. And I actually just put it back. I put the shades back into their regular order, because I don't know what I was trying to do. I was trying to mix up the shades, but I love this palette. And again, very first Natasha Denona palette. You can see it's pretty loved. And I think these shades are great. These are my shades. So you all hear me talk about the Melt Rust palette, the Melt 27 palette, Natasha Denona Bronze. Like, these are my shades. I do color, but these are my shades. And with this palette, it's so easy to use, because there's not one bad combination that you can make with this palette. I love these 2 deep shades, Rhodium and Deep Dive. They are some of my favorites in the palette. High Degree is one of my favorites. I love it. Suntan and Sundown, all these golden, just bronzy shades. You have Bliss, which has a little bit of a duochrome there. This is a great palette. I love that this was my intro to Natasha Denona. And it's funny, when this went on sale, like for the Sephora sale, I almost wanted to buy another one. Like, for what? There's like, I'm not even close to hidden pan, but it was like I wanted a fresh one for no reason. I didn't do it though. I'm just letting y'all know. That's a mess. But that's palette number 3. Now, palette number 4, I have not yet used. I will have a video, but I just have not had a chance. This is the Adept Cosmetics House of L palette. Now, this palette is going to be restocking, but I just think this is summer in a palette. It just looks really good. Now, you've got the 3 mattes, and then you have these beautiful shimmers. And I believe there is a new formula in this palette that is super, super shiny. Like this, the shine on this here is so beautiful. I haven't swatched this or anything, but look, these are just gorgeous. I think if you want a standout summer look, you can definitely get that. Or again, this is another palette where the mattes really look at that, wow, where the mattes really correspond with the shimmers. So if you don't want to do like a whole contrasting look, you can just take a green matte with the green shimmer or the blue, or then one of these, like this peachy one here, or this like bright orange with a corresponding shimmer. I think you can soften up this palette if you want to. I think it's just all in how you use it. So I am very excited to use this palette to create some summer looks. Palette number 5 is from, and House of L is by Adept Cosmetics. I don't know if I said that. Now, palette number 5 is by St. Angel's Sinners, and this was a collab. This is called the Follow Your Dreams palette, and I think I did 4 looks with this palette. I really enjoyed this palette, and this was my introduction to St. Angel Sinners. And what I like about this palette, now I could kind of see this palette going for fall as well, but then you've got these bright orange shades, these greens, you have the bright purples, you have the gold. I think there is a lot that you can do with this palette, and I used all the shades. I think the quality of this palette is really, really good. The shade I didn't like the most was this shade here. I think it's called Harmony. Yeah, it's just like a really chunky shade, but the rest of them are not like that. And you can actually make this one work if you use a setting spray or like Mayron Mixing Medium or something like that. I love this shade Hope, and that's funny because I was just using the Soul Moon palette, and one of my favorite shades in that is Warm Light, and it is almost the exact same shade that you can kind of see peeking out the top of this eye look. So Yeah, I just have a tendency to go for certain shades, and I love that. I think you can create like a really nice little sunset look with this palette. Now there is a pre-order open for this one, so I can put that info down in the description box. I'd like to use this more this summer, even if it's not a summer vibe. It is a palette that I would like to use more this summer and like just really see what else I can get out of this one. Now palette number 6, I hope to see restock. This is the Sugar High palette by Menagerie Cosmetics, and I was so pleasantly surprised when I used this palette. Not surprised by the quality, because I knew that was going to be good because I love my Indigo Ink palette, but I was surprised about the color story because in a way this does kind of look like a rainbow palette, but the quality, the shimmers, these foils are just so beautiful. Once again, I look at this palette and see it as a palette where you can do more of a monochromatic look, or you can just go all out and mix it up. I'm really happy with this one, and I definitely see why it sold out. And you can do some softer looks. You have some softer mattes like Yogurt Drop and Joey, but then you can also have some really, really bold looks, you know, given these other bold mattes like Snugglebug and Slice. So I really think this is a great palette. I had a really fun time using it, and I want to make sure that I have this one out this summer to create some more looks. Now palette number 7 is another neutral palette, and this would be a go-to for me. This is the Supreme Bronze palette by Artist Couture, and this was the first palette that I purchased by the brand. Yes?
My iPad cut off.
Okay, go get a charger, and you have to just let it charge,
no.
Okay? Well, I'm sorry. It does work, but when you're trying to play games while it's charging, that makes it really tough. People don't want to hear the truth. They don't want to hear the truth. And that's very sad. But what's not sad is this palette. I love this. I think this is a palette that you can use every day. And I like that you have kind of these 2 warm rows and then this 1 cool row. I love this shade right here. That's the one that kind of gave me the summertime vibe. This shade Sunkissed. And I think you can create like some nice like glowy bronze goddess looks with this palette as well. It's a shame that the Supreme, what was it one? Supreme Mauves didn't. Hey, I'm using my phone. Hey, give me 5 minutes and I'll be in. Nope, nope. Give me 5 minutes.
My iPad cut off.
Okay. Play something else. Go watch TV. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Destroy. Because I can't. Like, y'all cannot melt down when the technology doesn't work. Like, it's just too much. Yeah, I think you can create like some nice. So if you come in again, there's no dessert. It's just like no dessert train.
I want dessert.
Then you need to give me 5 minutes because I'm almost done, sort of. You can create some nice golden, bronzy, like just glowy looks. And then you can kind of have your little cool tone look. So I just feel like this is a great palette. Like if you're going somewhere or you're going on vacation, yeah, I think this is a great one to have. And I want to use it more. It's kind of like, well, no, nothing's like my Natasha Denona Bronze palette, but this is kind of giving me that same vibe. Has a little more variety than Natasha Denona Bronze, I think. And like I said, you have that cool vibe you can do with it too. So I want to use that one more because I've only used it once. So palette number 8 is the Odin's Eye palette that I want to use. And this is the Hummingbird palette, which was from the legendary Diversa collection. This was the collab with Tina from the Fancy Face. Oh, you guys, this is summer in a palette as well. There are just, this whole collection, I'm sorry, all 3 palettes were just beautiful. Now, if I had to rank them, this was gonna be in 3rd place, but that doesn't really mean anything because it's an awesome palette. Awesome palette. I love all of the shades in here, and I just know like these shades are gonna just be so beautiful, so tropical, and just so magical. You know what I mean? It's just like, you know, Tina is from Jamaica, and that was her inspiration for this palette. And I just think it was executed so beautifully. I just think it's a beautiful, beautiful palette. And I really like Red Hills. I love the mattes in this palette. All the shimmers are gorgeous. You know what I mean? So I think you can create some really great looks with this palette. So if y'all have this one, you know, pull it out. Don't forget about it because, you know, it's like, it's crazy because You know, we already had another Legendary Diversa collection come out with Angelica Nyquist, and now we have the Soul Moon collection coming out. So this is getting like pushed further and further back, and it's discontinued. But I have my Odin's Eye palettes. They actually are in a box, like in my living room table has like the storage area, so it's kind of always at the forefront because I really do love these palettes. But I need to give this one a little bit more love because I know like the Red Dragon and the Giant Wolves are just two of my like favorite palettes, like just so awesome. So I want to make sure I give some love to this one this summer. So palette number 9 is a FOMO find. It is one of the Quints by Dior, and this is from the Birds of a Feather collection. This is a Quint in the shade Nightbird, number 459. Now I played around with this off camera, but I've not filmed with it, and it's beautiful. So here you have this beautiful tropical color story, and again with these Quints, you know, you can do like these 3 as a look, these 3 as a look, or these 3 or these 3, or try to use all 5. But this is beautiful. They had Early Bird and they had Nightbird. Early Bird is not as good as Nightbird. Nightbird is really pretty. But these shimmers are very nice. These two, I think people may feel like look really similar, and that's okay. Because with these, I just feel like you just don't need to use them all, and the textures are different. So like the blues, you see one is like a satin, and one, this is almost a duochrome shimmer. It is. Okay, let me find out Dior has some duochromes. Okay, I didn't even know that. Got the beautiful green here. I haven't, August. You've got the little kind of gold, white gold satin, and then you have this like kind of melon shade, which kind of blends in with my hand. But this is a nice one. Now again, you know, when you think about Odin's Eye and Adept and Menagerie, those are going to give you those really bright foiled looks. The Dior one though is going to give you a beautiful look, but it's just going to be a lot softer and a lot more subtle, but it's not less beautiful, if that makes sense. I think it just depends on what type of eye looks that you like, and I go back and forth. Like sometimes I like the loud and bold, but lately I've been liking the soft ones, you know? So I love this one for summer, and I'm really excited because this gives me the blues, but it's not too much. Like with my indie eyeshadow palettes with the blues, I don't like how they look on me. So like even with this look here, I only chose blue to kind of accent the look. I did not want it to dominate the look because it's just not my favorite. But I think like I can get with these. They're just softer, they're just more subtle. And also it depends on the type of blue. This is more of a blue-green in this one. So I'm excited to actually use this and maybe film with it for a palette rotation this summer. I'm excited for that. Now palette number 10, I don't know what season it's for. I just know me and this palette have a hard time with each other. For my initial video, I made looks that I really liked. Then I came back and did it for a palette rotation. I hated the look and I didn't share it. It is Amore Mariposas by Melt. I don't know what it is. Honestly, in a sad way, it's the circle pans. It is. The quality of this palette is not bad at all. And I feel like you can almost get a look for every season. You've got beautiful tropical vibes. Hello. You've got some neutral looks.
When you do my video, okay? When you done your video, from
your monkey noodle? I will.
Can I bring in the back?
That's what I was saying. Amore Mariposas, I want to use it. I want to love it. I want to get to know it. I think you can make so many different looks with this palette. I mean, I like the rose. You know, like these 3 rows are my favorite, of course. But I do love the greens here. I think you can make fall looks here, summer looks. We're not vibing. So I want to pull this out this summer. Actually, supposed to be collabing with Dr. Ash and I Am Jamila. Hello. On trying to create some looks for this palette because we all are having the same issue. And this palette, I want to say, is super cheap after all that promo, after all of that high pricing. I think this palette went down to $28. A mess. We're using it. All right, palette number 11 is by The Glam Shop. This is the Citronata palette. Oh yes, I hope no shades fall out because I have a bad time with Glam Shop. Now look at this. Now you've got these yellow lemonade vibes, but you still have, let's pull it back here so we can see these like kind of browny neutral shades. So it's monochromatic, but it still has some differences in it, and I believe that this palette is still available. I mean, you've got like toppers. I mean, their palettes always include shades that you would just see as singles, and I really like that. Ooh, look at that. Now the mattes are okay, they're not like, oh my gosh, but look at that. The palette is gorgeous. Right, these aren't my greatest swatches, but just want you to see, like, they look wet, they're shiny, and you know, the yellow packaging, I know, like, if you don't like yellow, you're like, oh my God, it's so much. But look, it's really like a beautiful golden palette. And I think it is so beautiful. I have not used this palette in a long time, so I wanna make sure that it gets some love this summer. Palette number 12 is another palette that took me a long time to use, and now I think it's one of my favorites by Unearthly Cosmetics, and unfortunately, I don't know if this is still available. This is the Bunnies palette. Now, I know we may not be fans of, you know, the pan sizes and things like that. But what I love about this palette is that this layout is so user-friendly because each palette has a corresponding matte and shimmer. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 looks that you've got there if you don't want to mix and match the colors. I think it makes it so easy. And the shimmers in this palette, like, okay, look at Golden Egg. Let's see if you can see. Golden Egg. Look at that. Smooth, silky. This is a, look at the green right there. That duochrome. See it green? Beautiful. Beautiful. I think that might be my favorite one in the palette. We have Clear Skies. Another duochrome, blue to purple. I mean, this might even be a multi-chrome. Gorgeous. Those two, though, are the highlights of the palette for me. So Bunnies is, I think, a great summer palette. It's one I kind of slept on, and I want to make sure that I do pull this one out, probably in a palette rotation video or something like that this summer. Now, palette number 13 is one I haven't used yet. I want to say at the end of 2021, Viseart had a 25% off sale, and I did purchase the Bijouette palette, or Bijouette. I'm not sure if I'm saying it right. And you know, Viseart does not call to me. I have 5 Viseart palettes, maybe 7. The 2 that have the mattes, all mattes, I do sometimes use those. Like, I can use those with my indie shimmers and things like that. But the other ones, I have like a little quad. I have the Spritz Edit. I have the Paris Etoile one. And then I have this one. And I have not used any of them. I did use Spritz Edit. Oh, the mail. Yes, the mail. Anyway, I think I'm gonna have a lot of fun with this. I think that this palette is gonna be perfect, and it's gonna give me exactly what I need. I would say that if you were traveling somewhere serious, because I know people always think about palettes and stuff in terms of travel. I think this is a perfect travel palette because you have neutral and you have color all in one. You have them both. And I think you can do neutral with a pop of color. You can just do all color. This is probably my happy medium, which is why I purchased it. So I haven't even touched this palette. I would love to give this a try. And I think maybe I'll look at some look inspo videos because I'm sure there's a ton of it out there. But this would be my happy medium color neutral palette that I feel like I could take with me anywhere. So I would love to use that this summer. I have 2 more palettes left to talk about, and then I'll be finished. I mean, I've spent my entire day with August and Marky, you know what I mean? Like, come on, give me a minute. Now, my very last palette, palette number 14. Can't say it's a fail, can't say it's a favorite because I've only used it once, but this is the Dragon Fruit palette from Cleona. Now, I've probably shared, oh, hold on. There's my Lisa Eldridge lipstick with you, male woman. Oh, I don't see any packages. Oh, yes, I do. Oh, that's a mailman. Okay, I think my Atomic Cherry is here. All right, This palette is not a favorite nor fail just yet. The color story is quite bold and it's definitely not my favorite. It's not what I was wanting from Cleona. I don't know what I was wanting, but it was not this. But I was getting it because I wanted my Cleona palette. Now, I think my challenge is going to be to maybe soften up some of these shades. I really, really love the velvet satin formula that they have in some of these shades, and in the packaging, they give you a little booklet that tells you about all the different formulas. But I think we can actually tone down some of these shades using Effervescent, because I was just playing around and I took the shade Prickly, which is a very, very deep purple, like really deep. Let's see where I could put it. So you see that here. And then I took Effervescent and put it on top, and you see we can kind of soften this up. So I think with that and maybe the satins, maybe we can create something nice. Maybe this will be a companion palette, like looking at Dragonfly, same thing. I think that Effervescent is going to be the, because like that's really bold and everybody might not be into that, but I think that Effervescent is going to be that perfect. Ooh, maybe not. Hold on. Yeah, I think Effervescent could be that perfect transformer shade, or just, you know, taking the shades themselves and just really diffusing them out. So it's all going to be in how you use these shades, because I kind of want to tone this one down. It's just a lot of pink. I unfortunately just was not as motivated as I thought I was going to be to use this palette, and I'm not surprised by that because I already said I wasn't really into the color story. But I mean, separately, each shade is gorgeous and the quality of Cleona is, y'all know, it's really, really good. So yeah, that's Dragonfly right here. That kind of goes with my Odin's eye blushes. It's a nice palette. You also have Bubbles, which is another kind of toppery transformer shade where you can just add that extra sheen and glitter, but diffusing it out so it's not so bold. Because like I said, I've been really into the more softer, I don't want to say smoother looks, because I do appreciate the texture, you know. I think it just depends on my mood and what I'm feeling, but I just am not feeling this palette the way I want it to. That is pretty though. Bubbles is this Bubbles? Yeah, Bubbles is a really pretty shade. I want to love this palette and I want to make it work. So I'm going to try to do that. I think this is definitely a great summer palette. You know, it's like, it's dragon fruit. It reminds me of watermelon. It reminds me of summertime, you know? So I think this is a good one for me to challenge myself with, to use this summer and, you know, see if I can come up with something that I really do enjoy. So that's it for this video. I hope you enjoy kind of going through my palettes with me. Let me know what you think. I know that I talk to some people who do rotate their palettes by season. So let me know if that's something that you do. And let me know if you have certain palettes that you're pulling out for the summer, or palettes that you just want to make sure you give some love to this summer, like that you're trying to rotate, you know, to make sure that you're using your collection. Definitely let me know. I love talking about eyeshadows and palettes and makeup, and just trying to be better about this expensive hobby that we all have and that we all love. So thank you so much for taking out some of your time and hanging out with me today. I hope this was therapy for you, because it always is for me. And until I see you again, make sure you are being gentle with yourself. Talk to yourself nice. Stay safe, and I will see y'all in the next one. Bye.